In the vast universe of Hinduism, Lord Shiva is one of the most powerful and deeply revered deities. He is known as the destroyer and the transformer in the Holy Trinity, alongside Brahma, the creator, and Vishnu, the preserver. Shiva is a god of contrasts, fierce yet compassionate, detached yet deeply loving. He resides in the snowy peaks of Mount Kailash, often immersed in deep meditation, and is the source of boundless energy and wisdom. Shiva's divine family is just as fascinating. His consort is goddess Parvati, the embodiment of strength, love, and devotion. Together, they are the parents of some of the most beloved and powerful figures in Hindu tradition. In this video, we'll explore the stories of Shiva's three divine sons, Ganesh, Murugan, and Ayyappan. Each of them has a unique origin, a special role in the cosmic order, and a story that inspires millions. From the elephant-headed remover of obstacles, to the youthful warrior god, to the divine child born to destroy evil, these three sons of Shiva continue to hold a sacred place in the hearts of devotees. Ganesh, the elephant-headed god, is one of the most beloved and easily recognized deities in Hinduism. He is known by many names such as Ganapati, Vinayak, Vigneshwara, and Pillayar. Widely worshipped across India and Nepal, his presence is also strong in Jainism and Buddhism, and his influence stretches even beyond the borders of India. Ganesh is mainly revered as the remover of obstacles and the Lord of Beginnings. He is also the guardian of wisdom and intellect, the master of arts and science, and the deity of success and prosperity. It is common to offer prayers to Ganesh before starting anything new, whether it's a ritual, a journey, or a business venture. The name of Ganesh itself is made of two Sanskrit words, Gana, meaning a group, usually referring to the attendants of Lord Shiva, and Isha, meaning Lord. So Ganesh means the Lord of the Ganas. Ancient Sanskrit texts like the Amarkosha list several other names and forms of Ganesh. These include Vinayak, Vignaraj, the Lord of removing obstacles, Dvay Mathura, meaning the one who has two mothers, Ganadhipa, Ekadanta, meaning the one with one tusk, Herambha, Lambodara, he who has a pot belly, and Gajanana, he with an elephant face. Each name reflects a different quality or aspect of the deity. Ganesh is a very versatile and relatable figure. In art and sculpture, he is shown in many poses, sitting, dancing, standing, playing with his family, or even in modern attire like suits and ties, holding a mobile phone. Despite these changing styles, some features remain constant. Ganesh always has the head of an elephant and a large belly, symbolizing abundance and acceptance. He usually has four arms. In one upper hand, he holds an axe or a goad. In the other upper hand, a noose. His lower right hand is often shown in a gesture of blessing or protection, known as the Abhay Mudra, and the lower left hand holds a modak, a sweet that he loves. His vehicle or vahana is a mushika, a small mouse often shown sitting quietly near his feet. The mouse might seem like a strange choice for a divine vehicle, but it carries a deep symbolic meaning. The Mushika represents the restlessness and sneaky mind that causes trouble when left uncontrolled. When the mouse is shown calmly under Ganesha's control, it means that the Lord helps the devotee gain mastery over their wandering mind. In different forms or incarnations described in the Ganesh Puran, Ganesh has different vahanas. A lion in the form of Vakratunda, a peacock as Vikata, a horse as Dhumraketu, and even a serpent in his form as Vignaraj. Jain depictions also show him with various animals like elephants, tortoise, rams, and peacocks. One of the most popular and widely known stories about Ganesh is how he got his elephant head. According to this tale, goddess Parvati created a boy out of sandalwood paste from her own body and brought him to life. She asked him to guard the door while she bathed. When Shiva, her consort, returned home, Ganesh, not knowing who he was, blocked his path. Enraged, Shiva cut off the boy's head. When Parvati saw this, she was heartbroken and demanded that her son be brought back to life. Shiva, realizing his mistake, sent his followers to bring back the head of the first creature they saw. That happened to be an elephant, and Shiva placed the elephant's head on the boy's body and brought him back to life. Thus, Ganesh was reborn with the head of an elephant. There's another story in which Shani, the planet Saturn, known for his destructive gaze, looks at baby Ganesh and his head turns into ashes. To save him, Lord Vishnu quickly attaches the head of an elephant to Ganesh's body. Regardless of this version, all stories agree that Ganesh's elephant head is a powerful symbol of strength, wisdom, and uniqueness. Ganesh is also considered the embodiment of the sacred sound Om, which is the most powerful and fundamental vibration of the universe. The Ganapati Atharvashirsha, an ancient text dedicated to Ganesh, beautifully describes him as the very form of Om. According to this text, Ganesh is not only the son of Shiva and Parvati, but also the essence of all divine energy. He is Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. He is the sun and moon. He is in the air and fire. He is in the entire universe. His rounded figure is often drawn in a way that resembles the shape of the symbol Om in scripts like Devanagari and Tamil. In the practice of Kundalini Yoga, Ganesh is believed to reside in the Mooladhara Chakra, the first and most fundamental energy center in the human body. The word Mooladhara means root foundation, and this chakra is considered the base upon which all spiritual development rests. Ganesh, as the guardian of this chakra, ensures stability, grounding, and the right beginning for one's spiritual journey. Ganesh's wisdom is reflected in many stories. Ganesh is especially worshipped during the festival of Ganesh Chaturthi, which is celebrated on the fourth day of the waxing moon in the Hindu month of Brahmapada, usually around August or September. Devotees bring home Ganesh idols, offer prayers, chant mantras like Om Shri Ganeshaya Namah and Om Gam Ganapataye Namah, and offer his favorite sweets like modak and laddus. Red flowers, sandalwood paste, and special grass called durva are also used in his worship. The festival lasts several days and ends with the immersion of the idol in water, symbolizing his return to Mount Kailash. The modern celebration of Ganesh Chaturthi as a public festival was started by the freedom fighter Lokmanya Tilak in 1893. He wanted to unite the people of India across different castes and communities during the British colonial rule. Today, Ganesh Chaturthi is a grand event celebrated across India and in many parts of the world, bringing people of all backgrounds together in devotion. There are many temples dedicated to Ganesh across India and the world. Among the most famous are the Ashtavinayak temple in Maharashtra, a group of 8 shrines near Pune, each with its own legend. The Siddhivinayak temple in Mumbai is also very famous and considered highly powerful. Other well-known Ganesh temples can be found in places like Ujjain, Varanasi, Chennai, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and even overseas in Nepal, Sri Lanka, Europe, and America. Because of his role as a god of transitions, his image are often placed near the entrance of Hindu temples and homes. With his charming face, gentle wisdom, and deep symbolism, Ganesh continues to be a guiding force in the lives of millions. Lord Kartikeya, also known as Murugan, Skanda, Subramaniam, and Kumar, is the brave and wise son of Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati, and he is worshipped as the god of war, victory, and wisdom. His story is filled with courage, love, and spiritual symbolism. Lord Kartikeya is the commander of the divine army of the gods. He is young, handsome, and full of energy. He rides a peacock and carries a spear called the Veil. He was born to destroy a powerful demon named Tarakasur, who was troubling the gods and the world. In different parts of India, he is known by different names. In northern India, he is called Kartikeya or Skanda. In southern India, especially in Tamil Nadu, he is called Murugan and is deeply loved there. In Karnataka, he is known as Subramanya. In Kerala, he is worshipped as Ayyappan's brother. Once, a dangerous demon called Tadakasur had received a blessing from Lord Brahma that only the son of Lord Shiva could kill him. But Shiva was in deep meditation after the loss of his first wife Sati. The gods were worried because Tadakasur was creating chaos. So the gods asked Kamadev, the god of love, to break Shiva's meditation. Kamadev shot a love arrow at Shiva, but Shiva got angry and burnt Kam to ashes with his third eye. Later, goddess Parvati, who was the reincarnation of Sati, did deep penance to win Shiva's heart. Finally, Shiva accepted her and they got married. The result of their union was a powerful divine energy. Shiva's divine energy was so strong that it couldn't be handled by any normal being. So the fire god Agni took it and carried it to the river Ganga. Ganga flowed the energy to a forest of reeds where 6 babies were born from 6 lotus flowers. These 6 babies were raised by 6 divine mothers called the Kritikas. Later, goddess Parvati came and lovingly embraced all 6 babies together. With her divine touch, they merged into one beautiful boy with 6 faces, known as Shanmukha. These 6 faces helped him see in all directions and also symbolized his complete knowledge and awareness. As Kartikeya grew, he was trained in martial arts, war strategy, and divine knowledge. He was made the commander-in-chief of the Deva army. In a fierce battle, Kartikeya fought with the mighty demon Tadakasur. Using his divine veil or spear, he destroyed Tadakasur and restored peace to the heavens and earth. This victory made him a symbol of courage, protection, and divine justice. Lord Kartikeya's image is full of deep meanings. 6 faces or the Shanmukha represent 6 qualities like wisdom, detachment, strength, fame, wealth, and divine power. His spear veil represents sharp knowledge and the power to remove ignorance. His mount peacock shows how he controls pride and ego, and the rooster on his flag symbolizes alertness, dawn of wisdom, and victory over darkness. He is not just a warrior, he is also a symbol of knowledge, spiritual strength, and discipline. There is a beautiful story about Kartikeya and his brother Ganesh. One day, Lord Shiva and Parvati showed a divine fruit and said, "Whoever circles the world and comes back first will get this fruit." Kartikeya immediately flew off on his peacock to circle the world, but Ganesh just walked around his parents and said, "You are the whole world to me." Shiva and Parvati were pleased with Ganesh's wisdom and gave him the fruit. When Kartikeya returned, he was disappointed, but instead of showing his anger, he chose to live on a hill called Paramudir Cholai in Tamil Nadu, away from the palace. This story shows his maturity, patience, and deep understanding. In South Indian stories, Lord Murugan has 2 divine consorts, Devasena, daughter of Indra, the king of the Devas. She represents divine love and spiritual connection. Valli, a tribal princess who deeply loved Murugan. After many adventures, Murugan won her heart. She represents earthly love and devotion. Together, these 2 marriages show how Kartikeya connects both the heavenly and earthly aspects of life. Lord Kartikeya is worshipped all over India, but especially in the south. Some of his most famous temples are Palani Murugan Temple in Tamil Nadu, where he is worshipped as a child with divine powers. Tiruchendur, Swami Malai, Tirutani, Tiruparamkundram, the 6 famous abodes of Murugan, are known as Arupadai Veedu. Subramanya Temple in Karnataka, a famous place where snakes are also worshipped with Kartikeya. Katirkamam in Sri Lanka, a powerful temple where both Hindus and Buddhists pray to him. In Tamil Nadu, the festival Thaipusam is celebrated in his honor. Devotees carry kavadi, pierce their bodies, and walk in devotion asking for his blessings. The third son is Lord Ayyappa, one of the most unique and powerful gods of Shiva. Lord Ayyappan, one of the most unique and powerful sons of Lord Shiva, unlike Ganesh and Murugan, was born not just from Shiva, but both from Shiva and Vishnu. Yes, a child created by two of the greatest gods in Hindu tradition. Ayyappan was born for a very special purpose, to save the world from a fearsome demoness. Long ago, there was a powerful demoness named Mahishi. She was the sister of the demon king Mahishasura, who was destroyed by goddess Durga. Furious over her brother's death, Mahishi performed intense penance to please Lord Brahma. Brahma finally appeared and granted her a rare boon that no one could destroy her except a being born from both Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Feeling invincible, Mahishi began to terrorize the world and took control over the heavens. The gods were helpless. They turned to Shiva and Vishnu for help. To stop Mahishi, Lord Vishnu took the form of Mohini, the enchanting female form he had once used during the churning of the ocean. Shiva, fascinated by this divine form, united with Mohini. From this divine union, Ayyappan was born, a warrior god with the strength of both Shiva and Vishnu. Because he was gifted a bell by Vishnu at birth, he was also called Manigandan, meaning the one with a bell around his neck. Ayyappan is also known by many names, such as Harihara Sudan, the son of Hari and Hara, Shasta, Ayyanar, Dharmashasta, Pandalaraja, and Pampavasan. Soon after his birth, King Rajashekhar of Pandalam found baby Ayyappan on the banks of the river Pampa. The baby was glowing with divine energy and had a small bell tied around his neck. The king and queen had long prayed to Shiva and Vishnu for a child. Seeing this miraculous baby, they took it as a sign and adopted him with love and devotion. Manigandan was raised as a prince. He received the best education in scriptures and martial arts. He trained at the Chirapanchira Kalari, learning Kerala's traditional martial art, Kalaripayattu. In time, the queen gave birth to her own biological son. Yet, the king still saw Manigandan as his elder son and wished to make him the Yuvraj, the heir to the throne. However, not everyone was happy. The king's minister, who disliked Manigandan, plotted against him. He tricked the queen into pretending that she was seriously ill. The minister brought in a fake doctor who said the queen could only be cured by drinking milk from a tigress. Of course, no one in the kingdom was brave enough to face a tigress, but young Manigandan immediately stepped forward to bring the milk himself. The king tried to stop him, but Manigandan was determined. In the forest, Manigandan met Mahishi, the powerful demoness. A fierce battle took place. Using his divine strength, Manigandan defeated Mahishi with ease. After her destruction, a beautiful woman emerged from Mahishi's body. She was a heavenly being who had been cursed to become a demoness. Now free, she asked Ayyappan to marry her. But Ayyappan gently refused, explaining that he had vowed to remain a celibate. However, he promised her that she would be worshipped near his temple. She became Malika Puratamma, and her shrine still stands next to Sabarimala temple. Some say she was a girl from the Chirapanchira family where Ayyappan trained. Manigandan returned to the palace not alone but riding a tigress with several cubs following him. The entire court was stunned. The queen and the minister realized the divine nature of the prince. The minister repented and begged for forgiveness. After blessing the king, Manigandan disappeared. The king, in grief, refused to eat until he saw Manigandan again. Moved by his devotion, Ayyappan gave his father one last divine darshan, and then he granted him moksha or liberation. Before leaving, Ayyappan agreed to let the king build a temple for him. He shot an arrow into the forest. The arrow landed on Sabarimala, where the temple was built. Ayyappan explained how people should visit the temple by following strict penance and discipline called Vratam. He also promised to bless all who came to him with full devotion. Ayappan promised to reveal his divine form every year during Makar Sankranti around January 14th. Every year, his sacred jewelry, called Tiruvabharanam, is taken in a procession from Pandalam to Sabarimala. As soon as the aarti is performed and the ornaments reach the temple, a mysterious bright flame called Makarajyoti appears in the sky, a true miracle witnessed by millions of devotees. An eagle called Krishna Parinda is also seen circling above the procession as if guiding the way. The Sabarimala temple was originally installed by Lord Parashuram and has 18 sacred steps, each representing a worldly desire to be conquered. The pilgrimage begins in mid November and continues till Makar Sankranti. Devotees chant Swamiye Sharanamayappa and climb the steps barefoot with full devotion. Ayappan is called Kaliyuga Vardhan, the giver of moksha in this age of spiritual decline, Kali Yuga. Before visiting Sabarimala, devotees undertake a 41-day vratam. They must wear a tulsi or rudrakshamala, dress in black, blue, or saffron, live a simple and pure life, avoid meat, alcohol, bad habits, pray every morning and evening, seek permission from parents and their spiritual guide. Only after this do they begin their sacred journey to the hills. Lord Ayappan is not just a warrior god, he is a symbol of discipline, courage, purity, and self control. Born from Shiva and Vishnu, raised by a noble king, and worshipped by millions, he continues to inspire countless people with his divine presence. Every year, his light still shines bright in the sky, reminding us that with faith, humility, and strength, we too can conquer the darkness.